This is January 21st, 2026. Current time is 5:48 in the p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't have my phone in front of me with the text messages, but soybean futures is the first one I had alert go off this morning. It really didn't have a huge potential in either direction. To me, right here's the top of the average daily range at 1060.25. That initially made some resistance at 120 in the morning, but it just continued to power on through. What I thought could be resistance is right here at 1063. It broke above it, made a little bit of a short position or start to pull back there. That's where I would have assumed it would be pulling back more so. You have been chopped out several times. Probably would have lost. Probably would have lost. Probably would have lost. It chopped you up so much that you definitely, like after probably two of these, you need to just quit and let it do its thing or go for a much broader move either direction. See if this looks any better. Here lately I've been thinking about using the 5-minute chart instead of the 1-minute chart. Whenever it broke above, my short entry would have been showing up here at 620. Then right after that it shows up as being not a bearish move anymore. So in this amount of time, that's when I would have likely have cut my position. The Dow Jones today, my alert was at 48,477. The low today is 48,488. So it's $11 off on my alert. I should have set it a little bit higher. I may start doing that from now on. I thought doing it a few bucks above what the actual level was would be good enough, but apparently it's not. On the 5-minute chart, that makes hindsight. I don't know what it looked like this morning, but on here it makes perfect, beautiful support on the -2 deviation. Again, that repaints throughout the day. It may not have been there. And also on the 5-minute chart, the volume weighted average price that made resistance. It would have been easier to consider this to be long because it's way below the bottom of average daily range. So I would have assumed it would have been pushing up more so. This morning, if I was looking at the Dow, which that one would have been a good play for the day, I wouldn't have been bullish in any of this based off my setup and my rules at 850 is when I could have started to be thinking about a long position. Then it becomes extremely powerful. Then you need to just ride that wave. That's what algorithms do. They route it to exactly the VWAP today, pull back some. My rule is usually aims for like 50% level. If it gets up here and it starts traveling sideways, and you can kind of cancel your position. Just today it had much higher statistical probability going up than down. Silver today, I think my alerts did okay on silver. Come on, baby. Okay, it never did hit the top one, of course. Silver's been making all new highs day in, day out. At 10:25 this morning, it hit my zero level. I can't remember. I'm sure I had an alert that went off there. And technically it was a buy after that, but it tried it again, couldn't break above the ATR trailing stop, and decided to dump thereafter. And then pulled back up to about where it was prior. So I don't know what silver will do now, but it's that doesn't look overall positive. Yes, it's trading about where it's supposed to be though now on a daily time frame. Russell today, that's my other alert that I had went off today. My alert went off as soon as it tagged right here at 9:55 roughly. That correlated with yesterday's top of the average daily range. The top of the average daily range did move up some. On my setup, if I was going to trade the Russell today, then I wouldn't have had a short position possible until 11:05 starting there, and that would have correlated with top of the average daily range, let it tag perfectly. And all that I'd be looking for on the downside would be the 50% level. If it got down to that and started creating more of a potential reversal, then you need to close your short position. As you can see how quickly in 20 minutes it will go against you. That wasn't a super clean move. Definitely at 14.25, at 2.25 today, that one was very, very, very powerful move. Nothing but buy volume, and it outpaced the previous ones too. So I don't know if it's news catalyst driven or whatever, but yeah. Palladium, I didn't even have an alert go off on that one, but it tagged the level that I thought it would make some resistance last night. There was two levels that correlated, my level and the top of the average daily range. On Palladium, once it broke to 1942 and then it started breaking down, that is a massive dump after that. That's hard to catch and then ride that wave downward. You kind of hope that it'll bounce up a little bit and then continue that wave down. But there's giant wick here too, where the price gets into and sold off of, and then just so happens that it dumped out right there. So that was and again, my rule is even if you to have more of a statistical advantage, your main goal on the day needs to be just a statistical mean, and that's what it dragged down to right here. Made some support and then bounced up a little bit. These are harder to play, in my personal opinion, because you don't have the ability for much of a move in all those. Palladium on the 5-minute, 5-day chart, it came down to the volume weighted average price. So the NASDAQ today, it almost came down to the lower level. The low of the day was 25.025. The level I had mapped off from last night was basically 2,500. So $32 off, give or take. So not massive, not horrible, but if I was going to try to just pay attention to NASDAQ today, I would have been more interested in right here. And whenever you have a low of the day like that, then typically if you get into it, your stop loss needs to be here or slightly below that. It just keeps a more tighter range of possible loss, and whoever held on through all that, and there wasn't a whole lot of volume around there. There was at 850, there's more buy volume that picked up there. But it stayed bullish from 8:45 on mine till 11:30. That's when it officially, on the 5-minute chart, looked like it was going to possibly flush. But up here too, it also, that's pretty obvious. It made it up to the VWAP. Is that what that one is? That one above the volume weighted average price. I'm not going to even mention the positive deviation on the 5-minute, 5-day chart. The Nikkei today, it went up to the 50% level from what I mapped off from past Sunday, I think, and then went up to the volume weighted average price and broke above the bottom average daily range. So it's trading where technically, on a statistical basis, where it's supposed to be right now. My alert on the S&P 500 did go off later on in the day. It never really got super close to where I thought it'd make some support, but I think the NASDAQ was closer, and the Russell too, I think, was closer, wasn't it? The NASDAQ was really super close to it, so the NASDAQ dragged up the rest of it, which is common. NASDAQ and the Dow, not so much the Dow, but the NASDAQ and the S&P, they can drag each other or put each other down, or sometimes they don't correlate at all. Crude oil, I had an alert that went off from yesterday's level at 60.32. I guess that's what that was. Maybe I'm mistaken. But anyway, no, I don't know what the hell it was. Anyway, I had an alert that went off for that today. It pushed around that level and was hovering around it, and ultimately didn't go to where I thought would actually be resistance today on crude, but that was a previous level that I had mapped off. And Bitcoin, good old Bitcoin. Check this out here. Bitcoin did exactly what Bitcoin's supposed to have done. This is why I believe in the charting system that I do and why I map all stuff the way I do. Because this is to the T. Last night, right before this drop actually happened, I had the bottom level here, what could be some support, that was purchased up beautifully. It didn't on the 5 minute it hesitated a little bit there, so you could have possibly thought that it could be potential shorter and you close your long position, but the volume wasn't there to actually flush it to you, so I'll take it with a grain of salt. Typically, whenever I say, like, if you buy into here, then your goal needs to be here. And that's precisely what happened with Bitcoin today. So anybody that's like a crypto bro is like, yeah, bro, crypto's the best ever. It gets played with technicals more so than anything in the world, in my opinion, because I've seen it a million times before on Bitcoin. But my rule also is the first attempt is your best attempt. It can have other nuanced reasons why it gains or loses after that very shortly, and you can kind of see it in real time, or in hindsight anyway, of why it does what it does. Like after it reached this point, then they like sell. We got a daggone profit. So then the sell volume just keeps on pumping in. On my setup too, this is what's beautiful about my setup as well, is once you're the Mobius volume waves is what I'm looking at down here to see the potential short position is done with. It has massive momentum, and like it's huge bars, and then like right here you have buy volume mostly outpace. It's all buy volume versus the sell volume, and at 1235 that ends. That massive potential to the downside ends, and that's where algorithms buy the dip is at 1235 is where they see it potentially starting to shift to the upward side. And then you see it move back up, and it tries for 90,596 again. It didn't quite make it the second time, because that'd be way too god dang obvious, I guess. But it suffices to say that this happens a lot with Bitcoin. And right now, the bottom average daily range also correlates with that level as well, 95.96 at 6 p.m. It posts the average daily ranges at that time. It does all the math from the day and retabulates it. So it is on a downward trend. And as soon as it opened up at 6 o'clock, it decided to shit the bed. It is shitting the bed right now. That's a powerful dump. It's so gosh dang powerful, like it puts my shits in the morning to shame. But Bitcoin was the most obvious one. It would have been an excellent play today. Very super freaking obvious. I'm not sure what else is even worth going over, but Bitcoin was it. Crude didn't do what I thought it'd do today. It didn't get up to the high level I thought it would either. It got close, but nowhere within that vicinity. S&P 500, it did do what I thought it would, and it has pulled back some, but again, like sometimes you get a major powerful move to the downside after it tags a higher statistical level, and sometimes you get this sideways action. That's why I got rules on the 5 minute chart. Let's go back to that. Now I'll show you my rules and why I do what I do. If you'll zoom in a little bit. You're already at volume weighted average price for the day whenever it comes up to here. Technically, I don't suppose to short tail here based off my rules, and they see the price right there now. So it's going to be sideways and choppy and stuff more than likely. But NASDAQ was the closest one, I think, on the day. And it would have tagged out at towards the end of the day also. It's powerful, I guess, whatever Trump was talking about today. I didn't get a whole lot of whatever he said, but I'm sure that had, stoked markets up more so. And the Russell, it did perfectly at the top of the average daily range. That one would have been really good one to grab. That would have been an obvious one to play. And silver today, you can see how it acted. It tagged that bottom level and bounced up. Even though it may not be extremely powerful and actually aim for the statistical mean, it still went up regardless. And the Dow was god dang close, man. The Dow would have been the one I'd want to trade today. I can punish myself a little bit here. Let's see what I could punish myself with. Alright, I'm punished myself enough on the Dow here. If you was riding the Dow today and got every move possible out of it, then you would have made $6,500 on a day on the Dow. If you longed here, shorted here, covered your position, longed here, and held all the way through at least this level here, and that, and then sold or whatever, it would have been $6,500 per contract. If you had $37,000 in your account and you can trade 2 contracts, so if you caught every move up today, you would make $13,000 today. Alright, I'll map off what I think tomorrow might do, and see if any of that bullish is right. Hope you're happy, healthy, well, goodbye.